this is a funny story. So I've never met Bob Dylan, but there's a guy named Eddie Gorodetsky in LA who has a long history in show business. He worked for Saturday Night Live and was the producer on 2.5 Men and something like that. He's really good friends with Bob Dylan and Bob's manager. And they started producing this radio show for Sirius XM called Theme Time Radio Hour, which was a great show. I mean, you really see a side of Bob that you don't see anywhere else on that. He's telling jokes and he's playing all these great rockabilly and country and blues records. It was a great show. But Eddie got back to me and he said, look, Bob is recording these parts of his in hotel rooms on tour and they don't match sonically. So we need somebody to record like little, just like guitar interludes that we can play in between these things so that people don't notice the jarring difference of Bob's vocal recording. So the first thing I did was record a bunch of these little interludes. Then Eddie said, why don't you come over to my house? I want to ask you some questions about country music and stuff. And he had one of these little portable recorders. And he's asking me questions about Wayne Rainey and Buddy Holly and this and that. And I'm thinking at the time, he's literally just using this for research for the show, right? I didn't have Sirius XM, right, at the time. And so all of a sudden I'm getting all these texts from people. What is Bob Dylan really like? I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? And so what they had done is they had edited all these things that I had spoke into Eddie's portable tape recorder, made it sound like I was in the room with Bob, and Bob was like, we've got Deke Dickerson in here. We'd like to ask him about Wayne Rainey. Right? So then all these Bob Dylan weirdos start showing up to my shows, and they're the absolute weirdest fans of all time. And they're like hanging out at the merch table. And they're like, what's Bob really like? I'm like, I never met the guy, right? He just held up a recorder in my face. I remember we were in Spain and we were trying to get dinner before the show, and this guy's like, will you give Bob my book? Right? And he hands me this book, and the book is Bob Dylan is Jesus Christ.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll make sure I get it to him, right?
Self-published or just homemade? Or?
A self-published book, Bob Dylan y Jesus Cristo, right? So yeah, that was my experience with Bob Dylan. I never met the guy. And then even worse, years later, I was loaning a bass to Marty Stewart. They were recording at Capitol Studio A. Chris Scruggs is my good friend, and he needed a bass. So I went down there and I hung around for a long time. I got to meet all of Bob's band. They were recording in Studio B, right? And it was bizarre because I always think I'm a nobody, and like these guys walk in, Charlie Sexton, like, Deke Dickerson. I'm like, why does Charlie Sexton even know who I am? Anyway, I had to go pick up my kid at school. So I left, and apparently Bob showed up like 5 minutes later and hung out for hours talking with Marty Stewart in the band. I'm like, well, shit, I missed my opportunity.
I have to ask the burning question.
Yeah.
Are you a Bob fan?
I am, not to an obsessive degree. I really like, again, what he did at that particular point in time was really brilliant. You know what I mean? He just seized the day, really, right? Wrote all those incredible songs. It's amazing what he did.
The fans that you talk about, I joke a little bit because I love Bob.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very uncomfortable thing. And man, don't be that person. No matter who your favorite artist is, don't be that person.
I don't think they can help it, man. We have a name for those type of fan. We call them punishers. And they just can't help it, man. They're so excited and they just want to be a part of it and everything. But they get real close to your face and don't leave. And
99.99999% of the people are awesome.
Yeah.
The people that love it, all that, there's just like the one that gives you the book about you being Jesus.
Yeah.
Is you're like, wait, whoa, what the hell? What the hell?
Exactly. That's when you get that weird. Wait, are they boiling a rabbit on the stove? Kind of like all the goosebumps form on your arms. Like I got to get the hell out of here.
I think Bob would. I could see Bob being a fan of yours.
You know, I know that we have stuff to talk about, but he's also just one of these guys that he doesn't really do the hang, which is why it was such a sad thing that I missed him being in a really good mood and wanting to hang with Marty Stewart and those guys.